How to cut edible toppers with the Adjustable Circle Cutter from EPS. The Adjustable Circle Cutter can cut edible toppers in perfect circles in any size from 1 inch to 6 inch. It works with all types of edible paper, is easy to adjust and line up, and includes spare blades. This is the perfect tool for cutting edible toppers for cupcakes, drinks and biscuits. Full instructions are included, and we're going to talk you through how to use this versatile tool. Firstly, the 3 spare blades can be found in the base here. The cutter also comes with this heavy duty handle, which makes it easy to rotate when cutting out thicker materials like icing sheets or cardstock. Alternatively, you can use the push button here to rotate the cutter. To adjust the size you're cutting, you first need to loosen the positioner. To do this, slightly twist the white tube anti-clockwise, and this will allow you to slide the positioner up and down the scale. The scale is very accurate, so tighten the middle of the positioner at the exact size you want your toppers to be. To fully extend the blade, twist the grey part at the top of the tube until you feel resistance, but don't over twist it further than this. In this example, I'm cutting out toppers that are 2.5 inch. So first, just like before, I need to adjust the positioner at the correct size on the scale. There is a line running across the base of the positioner which should be lined up exactly on the scale. Once tightened, you can then extend the blade. The cutter should never be adjusted with the blade extended, as this can cause damage to the cutter and injury. To line up the cutter with your toppers, you can use the circular guide in the same size. So in this example, I'm using the 2.5 inch circular guide to line up with the outside of my toppers. We recommend designing toppers 1 mm wider than they actually need to be to allow for cutting error. Once lined up, you can rotate the cutter and your topper will be cut out in a perfect circle. In this example, I'm using the push button to rotate the cutter to cut out my icing sheets. With the opposite hand, you should apply pressure to the cutter and the sheet to avoid it slipping underneath. We recommend cutting out all of the toppers on the full sheet before peeling any away. For larger toppers, like this 6 inch topper here, the process is exactly the same. First, adjust the size, so for this one I'm using the bigger size, which is 6 inch. Then extend the blade and line the cutter up with your circle. Remember to use the outside circular guide to line it up with the outside of your topper. For this one, I use the heavy duty handle to rotate the cutter. This gives me a bit more control over the pressure. For any designs with a white background, it can be a little bit trickier to line up the cutter. For more accurate cutting, we recommend using a faint guideline which you can print around the outside of each of your designs, which you could then use to line up with the circular guide of the cutter. Again, you can make these guidelines slightly larger than the topper size you want to allow for cutting error. Like before, use your other hand to apply pressure to the cutter and keep the sheet in place, and then rotate the cutter using either the push button or the heavy duty handle. Only peel away your toppers once the whole sheet has been cut. Here's a closer view of how you'd line up the circular guide on the cutter with the circle you've printed around your designs. The Adjustable Circle Cutter can be used to cut toppers from icing sheets, wafer paper and card, as well as paper, cardstock and vinyl for general crafting. Grab yours today from Edible Print Supplies and start creating perfect and professional toppers every time.